Today we're going to talk about the four faces of LA's housing crisis and how we can fix it. Does this sound familiar? My rent keeps going up. I'm spending like half my paycheck on rent. Or, there's no way I can ever afford to buy a house here. Should I move out of state? Or even, I got evicted because I couldn't pay my rent. Across all income levels and ages, millions of Angelenos are impacted by our housing crisis. Here are 4 common types of people. See if anyone sounds familiar. First, meet Jerry and Pam. They are longtime homeowners. They're empty nesters in their 60s and have lived in their quiet suburb for 35 years. They're enjoying retirement and love visiting their cute downtown. Jerry and Pam's issue is that they want to spend more time with their kids and grandkids, but the high home prices means their kids live 3 hours away. Next is Laura. She's an aspiring homeowner in her early 30s. She lives in a tiny studio apartment in West LA and has an hour-and-a-half long commute and traffic every day to work. Laura's issue is that she'd love to buy a home, but every time she scrolls on Zillow, she gets more depressed. A home closer to her work, or anywhere for that matter, are just way out of her budget. And this is Daniel and Myra. They are burdened renters and spend 50% of their income on rent. They and their families have lived in East LA for 3 generations. Their daughter has had some big medical procedures, and their landlord keeps raising the rent. Daniel and Myra's issue is that they're one big expense away from not being able to pay rent, which puts them at risk of getting evicted. Lastly, there's Matt. He has deep housing insecurity. Matt grew up in the foster system, and even though he went to college and landed a full-time job, he was laid off last year. His new part-time barista job couldn't cover his rent, and without family to move in with, 6 months ago, he had no choice but to start living in his car. Matt's issue is that he's on a long wait list for affordable housing. It will probably take years, and he feels a lot of stress from living in his car. So how did we get here? And how do we fix this crisis? For some context, since the 1980s, the number of homes getting built in LA County has been dropping for decades, even though our population continues to climb. This has led to a huge housing shortage. The result of this housing scarcity means that we're approximately 800,000 housing units short of what we need in LA County. And unfortunately, according to a study by UC Berkeley, about 72% of residential land in Greater LA is zoned for single-family homes only, as you can see in pink. This essentially means that all the other kinds of housing are illegal. So condos, apartments, duplexes, and even bungalow courts are basically banned on the majority of LA land. This, plus a number of other problems, makes LA one of the hardest and most expensive places to build housing. Our huge housing shortage has some terrible impacts, causing rising rent and home prices for everyone. Sadly, about 1 in 4 LA renters pay 50% of their paycheck on rent. And unless something big changes, these stats will only get worse, which will lead to increasing displacement and stress for many Angelenos. We can already see the impact of the high housing costs. More and more people who can't afford rent are forced to live in their cars and RVs or on the street. This includes folks who have jobs, but their income just doesn't cover housing costs. The approximately 70,000 unhoused people of LA is a direct result of our housing crisis. So all of this can feel pretty depressing. But the good news is, other major cities have made changes to their housing policies with really positive results. For example, Houston, Minneapolis, and Auckland, New Zealand all made big reforms on housing policy, with Minneapolis and Auckland getting rid of single-family zoning. These reforms have allowed these cities to build a lot of new housing, which has led to stabilized rent and home prices and increased housing options for middle-income people. If we apply those same solutions in LA, then we will see younger generations getting to move near their families, young professionals who can become homeowners, stable rent and lowered evictions, and more housing options to keep folks from becoming homeless. With the Faith in Housing Coalition, we believe that Jesus' call to love our neighbors means we care about their flourishing and access to housing that they can afford. That's why we're building a network of Christians who are equipped and mobilized as housing advocates. 2 ways that you can join us are: 1, advocating for reforms in housing policy as we speak up to our elected officials to support pro-housing reforms. Number 2, we support new local housing projects. Unfortunately, many LA housing projects get slowed down or even stopped because local neighbors resist them. So that's why it's important that we show up to make sure more housing gets built efficiently. Join us as we advocate for more abundance, dignity, and community. Go to faithhousingla.com to learn more.